old when my mother died. But that day I lost not only my mother but also my childhood. The house was no longer mine, and the light in my eyes slowly faded in the garage of that house. But I came out of that darkness, and one day, I silenced it all. My name is Caleb. I'm 32 years old now. I own a technology company on the west coast of the United States. I live a life of luxury. But believe me, that's not how I started out. I was 8 years old. My mom had cancer. I memorized the smell of the hospital at that age. I watched her hair fall out. Even in her last days, she tried to make me smile. But she couldn't take it. She was gone. The day she died, my father changed too. He chose to fill the void, not me. 9 months later, Brenda came home, his new wife, and with her 3 children. Brenda never saw me as her own child. All she saw was a burden left behind by a dead woman. My presence reminded her of a past she didn't want to remember. It took me a while to realize it, but to feel it. It was clear from day one. There was no love in her gaze, only impatience, boredom, and disgust. Every time he addressed me, it was like a command. Every time he was silent, it was like a judgment. One morning, I went into my mother's room. She was gone. Everything was gone. Photographs, her old diary, even the tiny teddy bear she bought me for my birthday. Everything was gone. When I asked her, "Where's the stuff?" Without looking me in the eye, she said, "The past has no place in this house, Caleb. We're turning over a new leaf." But that past was mine. Those things were the only trace of my mother's existence. I cried in my room for hours that day, but no one knocked on my door. The dinner table at home was always missing a plate. Pizzas, burgers, boxes of ice cream were lined up on the table. They watched TV with laughter. When I went upstairs, phrases like, "Don't come in without wiping your feet," "Don't disturb us, we're watching a movie," "Get out," became my daily prayer. Brenda's children, my brothers and sisters, they were completely different. It was as if Brenda was teaching them to crush me. Every morning my clothes somehow disappeared. Sometimes my shoes were in the trash. Sometimes my pants were soaked. At school, they would lie to the teachers about me. One time they said, "Yo, Caleb slapped me." I hadn't even spoken to them that day. The teacher punished me. That's when I realized people listen to the one with the best smile, not the one who shouts the loudest. I was alone in the classroom, alone in the canteen, alone at home. Only the silence in the garage belonged to me. But even that sometimes turned against me. Lying in the dark, I thought a lot. Why me? Why did my mother die and Brenda live? While these children, who grew up laughing with their own mothers alive, put me through hell every day, I was just silent. But that silence was not surrender. That silence was an accumulating fire. Every insult, every slap, every ignoring was weaving another layer inside me. I silently made a vow. I will grow up, but I will not be like you. I will speak your language, with strength, with silence, with victory. One day this silence will choke everyone, and when that day comes, only I will speak. Garage, that cold and dark place, smelling of concrete, full of rusty shelves, was my only refuge. There were no toys, no warmth, no safety, and yet it was the only place where I was allowed to be myself. Every time I went in, I wouldn't turn on the light. The darkness wouldn't blind me anymore, because one gets used to pitch blackness over time. Besides, there was no light in my life anyway. At first, I just cried. Every night, the same prayer, the same broken sentence. I wish my mom hadn't left. But after a while, I realized crying doesn't bring anyone back. Crying just pushes you into a quieter corner. In that corner, something else began to be born, patience. Patience turned into curiosity, and curiosity, hunger for knowledge. I found an old laptop in the garage, discarded in a corner with a broken lid. I didn't even know if it would work, but I plugged it in. It turned on. The fan was noisy, the screen full of scratches, but it was as if it had opened a door for me. At that moment, I felt something. The only way out of here is through here. I secretly connected the internet. I was in front of the screen until 3 o'clock at night, after everyone had gone to sleep. I learned how to code software, encryption systems. Every day I learned something new. And the more I learned, the bigger my world became. Brenda and her kids still ignored me, but she didn't care anymore. Because I was watching them silently, I wrote down their every habit, every weakness, every division of roles in the house. Who eats when, who is alone when. I wrote it all down. While they were ignoring me, I was analyzing them. When I started high school, my withdrawal was complete. I didn't talk. I didn't make friends with anyone. Trusting was a luxury for me. But at school, teachers started paying attention to my grades. Especially the computer teacher was fascinated by my projects. One day he even approached me and said, "Caleb, you are quiet, but your mind is like a storm. You are the only one who can stop you." That night I couldn't sleep until morning. Someone had seen me. Someone had really seen me, but I was still silent. The only sentence I could form in my mind was this: one day my loneliness will become a voice. With that voice, I will erase everyone who silences me. When I turned 18, I left that house. I left quietly through the back door with my backpack while Brenda had her morning coffee. I never looked back. There was no hug, no goodbye. There was never any goodbye. That place didn't even come to me. I won a scholarship. A security program I coded caught the attention of a technology company. I started to rise with small but steady steps. At 20, I sold my first software. At 23, I founded my own startup. At 28, I was at a point where everyone who ignored me had to see my name on the stock exchange screens. But interestingly, even though I had risen so high, that child inside me was still sleeping in the garage. I always kept one eye on the past. I hadn't forgiven. I hadn't forgotten. So one day, time froze when I saw an email that landed in my office. Property for sale, 4364. East Ridge Drive, deed holder, Brenda K. Thompson. That house, it was the tombstone of my childhood, and now it was for sale to me. I didn't hesitate. I didn't take the house. I took it quietly. They didn't need to know who took it, but when the mail kept coming in the name of the former owners, I could imagine Brenda's lips tightening. Now they were in the palm of my hand, and nothing had started yet. It was midnight. I stood in silence in front of Brenda's house. It was freezing, but a storm was raging inside me. The silence was the sharpest form of the anger and patience I had been building up for years. It couldn't be heard, but it could be felt. That night I decided to close the last page of the past, because I knew that tomorrow everything would change. In the morning, Brenda found an envelope on her doorstep. Inside was a single line: "This house is mine now. What is rightfully mine is back." At first she didn't want to believe it, but the court documents were the cold truth. The surprise and disbelief in her eyes had replaced the disgust she had shown me for years. In that moment, the balance of power shifted completely. That house was no longer just four walls. It was a safety net for Brenda and my half-sisters. But now I was in complete control. I was very different from them. Quietly, cleverly, I infiltrated their accounts, using technology and my knowledge. Step by step, I cornered them, observing their every move, their every step. While they continued to ignore me, I was dominating them. One day, one of my stepbrothers started hurling insults at me on social media. "Who are you to do this?" he yelled. I never responded, but I took over his account and changed his profile picture. The picture I put was a fragile image from our childhood. I was crying and they were laughing. This photo suddenly went viral and everyone started talking about it. Their childhood moments of laughter were now symbolic of their destruction. I took my revenge not with anger but with intelligence. I quietly controlled their lives. I took away everything they thought they inherited, one by one. But I didn't humiliate them. I didn't disgrace them. Because the real revenge is to destroy pride with cold success. Their pride was shattered by my cold-blooded success. I completely changed the old security system in the house. Now I knew their every move, their every word. But they didn't even realize it, because this game was being played where they couldn't see, in unseen spaces. And I won this game. The boy I was alone with in the garage was no more. In his place was an upright, strong, cool-headed man. And that man won quietly. Years of pain, patience, intelligence, and strength finally took their revenge. If this story moved you, share in the comments the most difficult moments in your life and how you fought silently. Maybe your story will inspire someone else. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Like and share the video so that you don't miss such real, dramatic, and clever revenge stories. Because true victory is won in silence, and true strength is in strengthening the pain.